everyone, my name's Eric. Thanks for stopping by to check out my video today. Today I'm making some sous vide smoked pork chops that are cooking over here. I'll leave a link below if you want to check out how to cook that, because I am making a video for that as well. But this video I'm adding a side dish, and one of my favorite things to do with a regular old baked potato to take it up to the next level is to do a twice baked potato with some bacon and cheese. It's going to be absolutely delicious. But I'm going to take it up even one more level because I'm going to smoke these potatoes to give it a little bit of that smoky, delicious flavor that I love so much. So I got 5 big russet style baking potatoes. You want to get as big a potato as you can. The bigger, the fatter, the better for this recipe. I'm going to rinse these off with water, add some salt, and we're going to throw them on my pit barrel cooker, and we're going to have some delicious twice baked potatoes later on this evening with our sous vide smoked pork chops. So let me show you how to do it step by step. Let's get cooking. So here I have my potatoes. I rinsed them off very good under cold water, and I kind of scrubbed the skin real good because sometimes I like to eat the skin. It's going to absorb some of that smoky goodness, and they say the skin has a lot of nutrients too. So just make sure you don't use the same brush that you clean your dishes with. So after they've been dried off for a little bit, I just take a little knife here. Some people use a fork, and I just do a couple little things on each side because sometimes when these cook, some steam builds up in there, and rather than have the potato explode, if you give it a couple little quick jolts like this, that kind of prevents the problem from happening. And you don't have to go real deep, you know, maybe 1/4 of an inch. Just like so. Now we want to put some olive oil on this. And this can get a little messy, but there's no other way to do this really. I'm just going to pour a little bit, and then we're going to make sure that olive oil is all on that potato. Just like so. We're going to take that potato, that olive oil, we're going to rinse it, make sure it gets on all that whole potato. Like I said, this is the messy part, but sometimes when you're making good food, you got to get your hands dirty. Just like so. There you go. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add some regular old salt. I have a little salt grinder here, so my hands are a little greasy from olive oil. So go generous on the salt because you know, some of this obviously is going to be lost when you cook it. And of course potatoes need a little bit of salt. We'll be adding some salt to the mixture, the twice baked mixture, later on. Boom! That's it. I'm going to go fire up my pit barrel cooker. We're going to get it going. It's going to take probably around 20 minutes, a half hour. I'm just going to leave these right here, kind of soaking up some of that salt, and I'll show you the next step in just a second. Alright, I've had the pit barrel going now for around 15-20 minutes. Ooh, it's nice and warm. First thing you want to do when you're using your pit barrel as a smoker, you take the wood chips. They've been soaking around 45 minutes in warm water. We're going to put them right over the coals. I got the mixture of hickory and apple. I want a decent amount. I want to get a good smoke. Alright. I'm just going to give it like 5 minutes just to get that wood to smolder a little bit. So we'll be back in a few minutes once this is ready to put the food on. Alright, it's been cooking that, those wood chips for around 10-12 minutes. Let's clear that smoke. Whew. Take one of these rods out so I can get the grate in. Okay, and now we're just going to put those potatoes on. Whew. I'm not quite sure how long this takes. Now normally if you want to do this in the oven, do it at 400 degrees for around an hour, hour and 10 minutes. Since this is cooking a little less than 400 degrees, I'm not quite sure. So what I am going to do is I'm going to put a probe in. Some of you may not know this, but the perfect temperature for a baked potato is around 195 to 200 degrees. So I'm going to take a couple of the biggest potatoes there. Ooh. Just like that. We're going to put except you know what I did? I made a mistake. I gotta run this through the hole. I forgot that part. Okay. There we go. Carefully stick it through. You want to leave those rods in to maintain proper ventilation. So that's it. I'm not quite sure exactly how long. If I had to guess, I would say an hour and a half to 2 hours. Let's turn this on. I programmed each probe for 195 degrees. Let's see, am I getting the reading yet? There we go. One potato 70, one potato 72. So I'm going to go inside and monitor this, and we'll be back in a little bit, probably in around an hour and a half, I would guess, maybe 2 hours, because this is cooking, I'm guessing, right around 275 to 300. So it's a little bit less than an hour at 400 in the oven, so it might take an hour and a half to 2 hours. But we'll be back when this is ready to come off. Alright guys, while I'm waiting for it to cook, time for a brewski. This one is a pretty famous one you've probably seen before. Heineken, brewed in Holland. This is probably the beer you can find in every airport on the planet, every casino. I mean, it's kind of the gold standard as far as a higher end beer that you'll find in any kind of generic bar. Is it a great beer? It's okay. It's not the best. I kind of got a fond memory of this beer. The first place I lived after I got married, there was a Mexican guy that lived right next door to me, and he used to hang out in his garage. He had a little fridge. He always had it stocked with Heineken. I always thought it was strange. I thought, well, why aren't you drinking Corona? He had very broken English, and half the time I couldn't understand what he would say, but every time I'd come home from work, he'd see me, because I had to park and walk by his house to get to my house, and he would wave me in. Hey, come in, have a cerveza. And he would give me a Heineken, and sometimes I'd sit down, have a couple. That's what reminds me of this beer. Anyway, while we wait for this to cook, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Cheers. It's good. Is it spectacular? No. It's 5% alcohol, brewed in Holland. It's a mass-produced, kind of tastes like a mass-produced beer, to be honest with you. It's nothing spectacular. It's a good, drinkable beer that's unoffensive to just about anyone. That's why I think it's so popular. But in the same token, it's kind of dull. You know, I mean, it doesn't really stand out. But it's definitely better than the domestic, you know, Coors, Miller, Bud, stuff like that. I usually, when I go to Vegas and I'm gambling, they come by and want to, you know, you can get free drinks as long as you're sitting at a table. I usually either get a Corona if it's during the day and it's hot in the summer, because that's a little bit lighter, and if it's in the evening and I want something a little bit stronger, I'll go for a Heineken. So I'm going to enjoy this beer. I'm going to wait for this to cook. We'll be back in a little bit. Thanks again for watching, guys. Cheers. Alright, as you can see, it's been 1 hour and 31 minutes. One's almost hit at 195, it's at 194, and one's at 184. So I'm just going to check these out. And I'm sorry, guys, we just had the time change a couple days ago, and it's only 6 o'clock at night, but it's pitch black, so I apologize if you can't see very well, but luckily this is just about done. I'm going to do a couple spot checks on these. You know how to tell when a potato's done. I don't want it super mushy, but enough so I can cut them in half and carve out the inside. So 195 is what I'm going for. These are just about there, so I'm going to take these off, bring them inside, and I'll show you the next step. So here's the potato. It's still really hot, so you want to be careful because it's very, very hot. And what I do is I just kind of take a little knife like this, and we're going to cut all the way around the edge. We don't want to cut it in half. We want to kind of make a little pocket here. Just like so. Let's see if I can make it come around. Boom. Woo! Ow. Just like that. You see it's steaming. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take a spoon and we're going to spoon this stuff out and put it in a bowl. Now you want to leave a little bit of potato on the, attached to the skin, just to give it a little bit of support when we stuff it back in with all the goodies. Just like that. Just going to scoop it out. And we also, we also want to pay attention to this. Keep this as well. And don't throw the skin away. I'll show you what we do with that next. So I'm going to continue to empty all these potatoes, and we'll be back in a second. I'll show you the next step. So this is how it should look like after you scoop everything out. Just put them on a tray here. Then you want to take your potato mixture there. And I just took a fork here, kind of stirred it around, mushed it down a little bit. Now what I've done is I've taken a stick of butter and some half and half, and I'll leave the exact measurements down below. We're just going to pour a little bit in here, and I warmed it up in a saucepan. Don't want to go bubbly or anything. You just want to get it warm. And we want to kind of mix everything together. Kind of try to get it a nice consistency. The other thing we're going to add is some bacon. We're going to add some green onion. And we're also going to add a decent amount of sharp cheddar cheese. And I'm going to continue to stir this, as well as adding a little bit more liquid as needed until we get it into a nice consistency. And the last thing we want to do, of course, we have to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And then once you get this looking nice, take a little sample, because you want to make sure it tastes good. If it doesn't taste good, keep adding seasoning or do what you need to do to make it nice. Add a little bit more of that butter and cream mixture. So I'm just going to keep stirring this, seasoning it. I'm going to try it so it just gets that perfect taste and consistency. We'll be back in 1 second. I'll show you how to stuff this back into the potato skins and how we finish it off. So here you go, guys. I mixed it up. Looks great. The last thing you want to do, right when you got it looking good and tasting good, and this is optional, of course, and feel free to add stuff or do stuff the way you like it. There's no exact way to do this. I'm going to put a little bit of sour cream in there. I like the little tang that the sour cream gives to it. You want to do that at the very end. And I had a little bit left over there. I'll mix this in again, and I'll be back in 1 second. We'll stuff these skins. See you in 1 second. Alright, I got the potato mixture perfectly. I tried it. I seasoned it with salt and pepper again. It's absolutely delicious. So I just wanted to show you here. Here's one that I cut open. Now what I do with this extra thing here, just to give it a little bit more height, I'm going to stick this on the very bottom. And then what I'm going to do is spoon the potato mixture back into the potato. Not too complicated. But since we put that extra skin on the bottom, we got a little bit of extra potato to put in there, obviously. So we can kind of scoop it very high. like so. Oh, that looks delicious. And then of course, once we're done with that, we're going to take some sharp cheddar cheese and we're going to put that on top. Look at how wonderful that is. Perfect. I'm going to finish doing the rest of these guys. We're going to get them all set up like this, and then we're going to put them back on that pit barrel cooker for probably 10-15 minutes just to heat them up really nice and melt that cheese. We'll be back in 1 second. There you go, guys. I have them all ready, filled up. Put some sharp cheddar on top. I'm going to go throw these on the pit barrel. It's pitch black outside, so I'm not going to skip that step as far as filming, but we'll be back after these are nice, crispy, and I'll show you how they look like when they're finished. We'll be right back. Alright, here you go, man. Look at how wonderful these look. I always save a couple little bit of bacon bits just to kind of sprinkle on the end. Kind of give it a little bit more presentation. Even though we have some mixed in there. Just like that. Oops. And then of course, a little bit of green onion. Look at how wonderful that looks. Whoops. That's all there is to it. You saw, you know, it's pretty easy, and it's such a great way to take an ordinary, inexpensive baking potato and turn it into just an absolutely wonderful side dish to accompany any kind of meal, especially if you're going to be using the barbecue grill or the smoker. It's not too difficult, really. You saw how I did it step by step. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you like what you see, please like the video, check out some of my other videos, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.